The UK timeout on Radio Biafra, bringing news beats from across the United Kingdom, incisive analysis by the People's Parliament, our panel dissects the topic of the week, and listeners interact.
Also featuring great Biafran history, education, awareness, and enlightenment, plus entertainment galore.
Tune in to the UK timeout on Radio Biafra. Sundays from 7:30 p.m. Biafran time and British summer time. Set out for a fabulous week ahead with the UK timeout on Radio Biafra. News, views, previews, and reviews. Join us.
Good evening here. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, where you are, whatever you're up to. Welcome to the UK Timeout on Radio Biafra. I'm your host, Ikechukwu Nice Mokoro Ichie Mwachinemere. I hail from Onitsha Niri, Ezinite, Owerri Province. I serve my beloved indigenous people of Biafra as the United Kingdom National Coordinator. We begin with a word of prayers in the language of heaven. Chukwuka mapụrụ ime ihe niile, eze anyị na-ekpere ọgwụ nna anyị onye ime eluigwe asaa, anyị ụmụ gị agbakọ taa inye gị otuto, inye gị ekele, ibuli aha nsọ gị mma, ija gị maka ihe ọma niile nke ị na-emere anyị, maka ndụ nke ị nyere anyị na ihe ndị jikwere chọọ ndụ anyị mma. Anyị ayọrọ gị mgbaghara mmehie ụzọ niile anyị na-esi na mmehie gị, n'echiche na okwu ọnụ na omume, si na mere anyị ebere, mere anyị amara. Elekwala anya na njọ anyị, ma lekwasị anya n'ịhụnanya nke ị nwere ebe anyị nọ, n'ọmịiko nke gị nọ n'ebe anyị nọ, ka amara gị bara anyị ụba. Taa bụ ụbọchị Nkwọ, anyị na-ayọ gị eze ebube ka Nkwọ kọpụtara anyị ihe ọma niile dị iche iche, ihe akụ, ihe enwe, ahụike, ogologo ndụ, ọganihu, akụ na ụba, ọmụmụ, akpata enwere, udo na ọṅụ, ịhụnanya, eziokwu, nkwuwa okwu. Ka Nkwọ kọpụtara ihe ọma niile a. Nkwọ kpọgbukwere anyị ihe ọjọọ niile nke ndị iro ji na-akpagbu anyị, maọbụ ihe ọjọọ nke ndị sikwa anyị n'aka n'ihi ajọ omume anyị na ekweghịkwa anyị nọ n'ime anyị. Nkwọ kpọgbuo ya. Nkwọ kpọpụtakwara anyị nwa gị nwoke, oru gị nwoke, onye ndu anyị Nnamdi Kanu. Nkwọ kpọpụta ya n'ụlọ itiri ndị DSS ebe ọ nọ n'aka ndị ọjọọ, ndị obodo zoo, ọbụla dịka ọ na-aga apụta n'ụlọ ikpe ndị zoo. Echi bụ ụbọchị Eke, ka Eke kechie ọnụ ndị ọjọọ niile, ndị ụgha, ndị mpụ na aja ga-abịa ikwu okwu, ikpe ikpe megide nwa gị nwoke. Eke kechie ha ọnụ. Eke kechie ọnụ Binta Njako, bụ onye nke na-abịa achịkwaba ikpe a, n'agbanyeghị na o nweghị ihe o kwuru ikpe n'ime ya. Eke kechie ya ọnụ. Kechie ọnụ ndị zoo, onye isi ha Bola Ahmed Tinubu na onye ka ha niile ha na-akpa nkata megide Nnamdi Kanu, megide ụmụ Igbo na ụmụ Biafra. Eke kechie ha ọnụ n'ụbọchị echi na-abịa, ka o mee ha dum n'anya, ka ihe ịrịba ama ka ha tụpụ ya na-agbụ, ka o nwere onwe ya. Nyere anyị nke a na ihe ndị ọzọ nke anyị na-arịọ gị, karịkwa ụka anyị rịọrọ na ụka anyị jiri ọnụ anyị kwupụta, n'ihi na naanị gị bụ eze na-achị ruo mgbe ebighị ebi. Enweghị ihe na-apụghị ime, enwe ike niile dị n'ọba aka gị. Anyị kwesịrị ike n'ebe ị nọ, ekwesịkwara ike na ị ga-emezu ya karịa gị ka anyị rịọrọ n'aha nwa gị nwoke Yeshua Hamashiach. Ise, 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 ise. Imeela Chineke ma imeela, Chineke obiọma ime abụ m ihe mbụ, imeela 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 Chinwere obiọma, imeela o kwere nkwa m nkwa, imeela 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 Chineke obiọma, imeela agbanwe agbanwe, imeela 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 Chinwere obiọma, imeela. We're bringing this beast next, and after that we come to the topic of the week: Nigeria's conspiracies and policies targeting Biafrans. Don't go away.
Welcome to this week's news beat. I am Mazi Sam, and with me, Wanda Cindy. Good evening. The illegal detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has received an impromptu notice from the Abuja Federal High Court to appear before the recused Justice Binta Nyako tomorrow, Monday, February 10th, 2025. Kanu's lead counsel, Barrister Lawyer Jimako, made this known last Friday after the legal team and some members of the IPOB leaders' family concluded their routine visitation with him. Ejimako added, "We shall appear with a bated breath." Onyendu's current legal team had earlier on January 30th this year filed an application before the court for the transfer of the suit from the Abuja division to any federal court division in the Southeast, stating that the application was sequel to an order entered by Justice Nyako on September 24th, 2024, recusing herself from handling the case pursuant to an oral application made by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in open court on the same day. Onyendu's legal team said they were reliably informed that following the said recusal, Justice Nyako promptly sent the case file to the Chief Judge of Nigeria for the purpose of reassigning it to another judge of the same Abuja division of the Federal High Court. However, the Chief Judge, as well as the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, have since sent the case file back to Justice Binta Nyako, as according to them, no other justice of the Abuja Federal Court Division wants to touch Nnamdi Kanu's case file. The legal team now protests, sending the case file back to Justice Nyako, who stands recused, thus no longer has the jurisdiction to adjudicate on the matter. However, they argue that given that no other judge in the Abuja division is willing to take the case, the only option left is to transfer the case to any division of the Federal High Court in the Southeast geopolitical zone, especially since the offenses are alleged to have had impact in Southeast and not Abuja, which gives the Southeast division a far superior jurisdiction. Onyendu legal team have therefore requested that their application for transfer of the case to the Southeast be considered and granted before the hearing scheduled for tomorrow, 10th February 2025, in order to prevent what they call a grave miscarriage of justice to the defendant. Nothing was, however, said about another pending application seeking the restoration of Muhammadike's bail, which was unlawfully quashed after he fled for his life in the wake of the illicit Operation Python dance to assassination attempts. IPOB worldwide leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has, in the same token, lamented that the enemies of Ndi Igbo have taking advantage of his detention to attack villages in the Southeast. He emphasized that nobody or entity would have dared carry out such audacious attacks against peaceful Biafran farming communities in Igbo land had he been a free man. Ohamadike also vowed to resist last week's ruling of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which affirmed the 2027 laughable prescription of IPOB and subsequent designation as a terrorist organization in Nigeria.
Good evening. IPOB leadership has lampooned the Zoo government over the Abuja Kangaroo Court ruling, stamping proscription label on the renowned Global Liberation Movement. In its string of press releases past week, IPOB exposed the desperation of the Zoo authorities who continue to waste huge resources to sponsor media blackmail and vile propaganda against IPOB and the ESN, describing these approaches as despondent acts aimed at tarnishing IPOB's good image and nailing Onyendimazi Nnamdi Kanu. IPOB remains a non-violent, peaceful, civil volunteer mass movement championing Biafra's self-determination quest. On the other hand, ESN are armed IPOB community volunteer vigilantes dedicated to dislodging murderous, marauding Fulani terrorists occupying Biafra land, farmlands. IPOB as a body have never been associated with violence or criminality in Nigeria or in diaspora, irrespective of the Nigerian government's repeated provocations, abductions, extrajudicial killings, and forceful disappearance of her members. IPOB have remained peaceful and consistently focused on the non-violent actions to restore Biafra. No IPOB activist or member have been convicted of any crime anywhere in the world. The proscription of IPOB by the rogue regimes of APC have raised dust internationally, with many organizations and countries expressing concerns about the erosion of human rights in Nigeria and reminding judicial systems to take into account the international implications of their unpopular actions, as well as to ensure that their decisions are in line with the international human rights laws. IPOB made bold to state that she remains legal over 108 countries in the world, where her membership is visible and has never been proscribed nor tagged a terrorist organization in any nation except in the terrorist country Nigeria. IPOB will continue to challenge the unethical conduct of the Nigerian institutions, particularly her military, and the fantastically corrupt judiciary, as well as maintain our high moral and professional standards in pursuit of our annihilation fundamental right to self-determination. Deployed to the IPOB to violence through the laughable, nonsensical provocation, pronouncement of proscription is dead on arrival. In a related development, the Directors of State DOS of the Indigenous People of Biafra frowned at a statement by radical Islamic patriot Ahmed Gumi, who is directly instigating the federal government to arm Igbo youths, instructing them to combat and kill IPOB members. IPOB views this as irresponsible statement by this unreasonable hate preacher as catalyst to cause chaos and destabilize the southeastern region of Nigeria. The Global Biafra Movement leadership was appointed to a viral video showing the new director of Department of State Services DSS in Imo State assembling armed youths and hired thugs, ordering them to target and viciously attack IPOB members. This is an obvious deliberate way to cause conflict and anarchy on Indibo. IPOB warns that her security arm, the ESN, is fully prepared to protect our people from any threats, both internal and external, urging every Biafran youth to disassociate him or herself from such acts of state-sponsored terrorism.
IPOB UK Cabinet will hold an emergency meeting tomorrow night ahead of this Friday's first War Coordinators and Principal Officers meeting of the new year. IPOB UK National Coordinator Chief Ikechukwu Nice Bokoro has explained that this week's meeting are crucial as the transition to a transformations 2025 gears up. The UK NC hinted that the first steps towards revival reshuffling have been concluded and would be communicated sensibly and sensitively, having made recommendations to the effect to leadership through the European rep and members of the DOS. Mazi Osinabayim. Chief Wokoro revealed that he had spent 40 days on a one-on-one consultation with key national principal officers and personal reflections, as well as devotional meditations after the Cabinet Advisory Committee had submitted their reports to him just before the new year. He stated that the proposed slight operational changes are purely geared towards efficiency and effectiveness, highlighting the need for all and sundry to step up this year, maintaining we must serve with passion and compassion, devoid of emotion and parochial sentiments. All zones and regions have been reminded to hold their first meeting of 2025 in line with the published national meetings, events and activities schedule guides. Similarly, every zonal coordinator is reminded that the deadline for the first quarter ESN fundraising is end of next month. Zones are advised to start early collection and contributions and completing the records in time to submit same to the UK National Finance Officer Lolo Sophia Chinyere Kalo on or before March 21st. Preparations for the first ever Italy get-together, which will double as their annual general meeting and European evangelism, have reached top gear. Publicity jingles for the event holding in Ferrara on Saturday, March 29th, was released by the Italian National Coordinator Mazi Keke Uda Uko. Last Wednesday, European national coordinators are scheduled to be in attendance for the important leadership retreats, while invites have equally been extended to all members of the IPOB Europe family. Onyendu's wife Lolo Uchechi Oku Kano will be in our program next Sunday. Is the mother of the day for the Italy get-together and AGM.
Tragedy struck in Kalaha community in Ebonyi State when terrorist Fulani headsmen attacked homes, killing at least 16 residents and destroying no fewer than 25 houses and other properties worth hundreds of millions of naira. The gruesome assault caused widespread panic, pandemonium and fear, resulting in displacement of innocent indigents and residents. The attack, which reportedly occurred shortly after a team of policemen and the state security outfit Ebubago visited the community, has now heightened tensions as residents of Arokwe, Omeleha and Amego villages have been fleeing their homes in droves, ferrying their belongings to Amazezeba, Nigersem and other neighboring communities. Ohaneze Ndibu Youth Council Worldwide has demanded that those behind these horrific attacks must be made to face justice. Senator Ejenaya Baribe lamented that there are two distinct laws existing in Nigeria, explaining that we currently have the law for the North and the law for the Southeast, highlighting the imbalance and inequalities inherent in the dispensation of justice in the zoo. Former APC National Chairman and one-time Governor of Edo State, Azim Toshimole, last Tuesday doubled down on his allegations that some retired military generals in connivance with foreigners are stealing Nigerian solid minerals. Oshimole, who is currently the chairman of the Senate Interior Affairs Committee, clarified that his claim was based on the report of a retired general who witnessed foreigners stealing solid minerals in the country. In connivance with some retired generals, he maintained that illegal mining activities of such magnitude will not be going on in the country without some powerful people knowing about it. Governor Ahmedu Umaru Fintiri of Adamawa State has criticized the federal government's economic policies, saying that they are causing severe hardship for Nigerians, maintaining that the contraption is bleeding with so many people suffering. Fintiri warned that the continued implementations of ineffective policies will only deepen the suffering of Nigerians and further disconnect the government from its people.
In another development, aggrieved residents of the Obokori community in Iguala, North Delta State on Tuesday barricaded the main entrance of the police area command, Ugwele, in protest against subsequent attacks, raping and destruction of their farmlands by suspected killer Fulani herdsmen. The community leader Albert Obunake Parobo accused militant herders of destroying their farms with cattle and raping women in the bushes. He disclosed that the marauding jihadists masquerading as herdsmen audaciously went further to petition their leaders at Isioko police station, leading to their unlawful arrests. Suspected kidnappers have abducted 7 travelers along the Owo-Ipele axis of the Owo-Bini highway in Ondo State. Masked gunmen attacked the commercial bus at midnight over the weekend and whisked the victims into a forest, abandoning the vehicle by the roadside, prompting the other drivers to raise an alarm. It was gathered that the victims were traveling from Akwa Ibom State to the southwest before they were kidnapped by the bandits on Friday, January 31st. This abduction comes shortly after the killing of 5 farmers at Ajagunle power line in Akure. In Ondo, gunmen have kidnapped the traditional ruler of Udo Agoro, His Royal Highness Friday Ihiziji, the Oniga of Igubin, Edo State. The monarch was on a commercial motorcycle when they were ambushed by the kidnappers near a forest between Ubeji by Rest House Junction and Udo community. The gunmen shot the motorbike rider dead on the spot before whisking the Paramount King away. In a similar event last Tuesday, Boko Haram killed 2 and injured 4 others in Borno with local impoverished explosive devices, IEDs, along Harandi and Jigowa villages of Hawa Council. The victims were said to be on their way to the Gakida market when they were attacked. In Sokoto, bandits invaded a popular mosque during prayer and abducted the imam and some 10 worshippers from Bashi community, Sabo Biring area.
Rwandan President Paul Kagame has refused to confront his country's troop and currently operating in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. UN experts believe that an estimated 3,000 to 4,000 Rwandan soldiers are supervising and supporting M23 fighters in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo, outnumbering the rebel forces who claim to have captured the city of Goma in eastern Congo last week. Rwandan Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Mr. Kagame, is claiming ignorance of his soldiers' involvement while insisting on doing everything necessary for Rwanda's protection. At least 900 bodies have been recovered from the streets of Goma since violence erupted, according to the United Nations' latest figures. British Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch has come under severe criticism following her recent controversial comments on migrants in the UK. Ms. Badenoch has said that migrants who claim state benefits should be denied permanent residency status, while proposing that immigrants should legally stay up to 15 years in the UK before being granted indefinite leave to remain, a necessary statutory step towards acquiring British citizenship and national passport. Many political analysts and commentators observe that the Tory leader's stance will likely distance her from her party from the majority of the voting public and could result in an early removal of Kemi as party leader. In the US, immigration matters continue to rage like wildfire as the newly installed Trump administration's battle on all fronts of the borders literally This week, there have been viral videos of immigration and custom officers scrutinizing legitimate visitors on valid visas, questioning their intentions or their missions to the state. Pregnant women were particularly targeted, with stern cautions over the cost implications of giving birth to America. The US government is radically reviewing immigration policy to dissuade members of automatic citizenship to newborns, which hitherto provided easy routes for their parents and even guardians to secure the green card. That's news bits this week. Stick with us as the UK timer continues in a jiffy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a good week ahead. Thank you.
Welcome back. You're listening to the UK Timeout on Radio Biafra. In spite of the pronounced cessation of hostilities in January 1970, the post-genocidal war rulers of Nigeria appear to still harbor and hatch secret plans and plots formulated by two or more persons or groups, landlords and caretakers of the former British colony or business empire, to do something, or indeed everything, harmful and unlawful, create and design devices to accomplish evil or treachery against Biafrans, Igbo more precisely. The intriguing machinations of a certain cabal or set of tribal warlords to truncate the destinies of Igbo and Biafrans, to never allow them grow to the extent of governing themselves, neither to allow them unite and have lasting agreement for their overall advancement and development, rage on. It has always been different strokes for different folks as far as dealings in the federation, federation in quotes, is concerned. The disproportionate disparities inherent in the Nigerian state beggar belief. Biafrans are meant to feel like the war never really ended, as conspiracies and even official policies clearly prove time after time. Using the current state of insecurity as a reference point, today in the north, terrorists are called bandits, just mere bandits, like a nickname. Government negotiates with them, pamper them, and even pay them huge amount of money as alimonies or amnesty palliative. Send some of them overseas for whatever training, only God knows what they are doing. And those who are local and those who return, if at all they return from the training abroad, are quickly reintegrated into the society top echelon, including recruiting them, or the most dangerous amongst them really, into the country's military with rapid promotions. Whereas Biafrans who toy in the same service wait for ages to be recognized. But in the South, Southeast in particular, unarmed freedom fighters, IPOB members, are called terrorists. Government unlawfully arrests them and even kill them at will. In the North, police don't arrest criminals or extort motorists, but in the South, Southeast in particular, please arrest innocent citizens and extort huge sums of money every month like we had last week on this program. In the north, Islamic police, the Hezbollah, arrest Nigerian police for drinking alcohol. But in the south, Nigerian police arrest innocent citizens for drinking alcohol. In the north, youths can kill any southern and nothing happens. Well, in the south, we are not killing anybody anywhere, and still we are being hunted and killed. On today's People's Parliament segment of our program, we take a good look at Nigeria's conspiracies and policies targeting Biafrans, past and present. I have with me two distinguished Ezigbo Muchineke. One is ever ready and is already in the studio. The other person, unfortunately, is stuck in traffic, but he will be joining us shortly. From across the Atlantic, it is indeed an honor and privilege to invite Nukwada Biafra to reintroduce herself. Dr. Tina, please unmute and reintroduce yourself to our listeners and great Biafrans.
Dewo Mazi Chief Nice. It is a great pleasure to speak with you anywhere in the world, but especially on Radio Biafra. I am honored to speak with you and to come back to UK Timeout. And today I get to speak also with my real brother, Mazi Sam. Mazi Sam Dewo for being here, and thank you, Mazi Nice, for inviting me again. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Sina, I'm sure most of our listeners already know you, but as the routine with our program or formality, just to remind them where you come from in Biafra land and where you are currently based serving Biafrans as well.
Mazi Nice, they always hear me say that I am that one at that Biafra, from the heart of Biafra land, Olu province. Because we know what we're looking for. Uzodimma cannot kill all of us. And we have already made up our minds that we are going to outlast him. No matter what he does, we're going to outlast him. Because yesterday he was bombing people and bombs were flying into Umuaka. And this is our neighboring villages to ours in Omuma and Umunoha and all these places that he's bombing. He can bomb all he wants. He's not going to find any one of us to kill, and that's where I come from. But of course, I live in Texas in the United States of America, and where I always say it also to the people of Biafra, we learn what makes democracy tick here. Not that they are the inventors of democracy, they borrowed it from us, but now they have refined theirs. And so this is a land of the free and the home of the brave. And I am glad to be here.
My heart bleeds and my heart goes out to all our great Biafrans in Olu province, Omaka, Omoma, also Oru, everywhere in an environment all across that place. It's indeed a great shame that the lives of Hope Uzodimma will choose to murder his own people, keep and kill in cold blood just because he wants to serve his masters. Anyway, I would think that Hope Uzodimma is a classic definition of conspiracy. Most of our political leaders currently in the Southeast are epitomes of conspiracy. So by way of definition, Dr. Tina, can you let our listeners know exactly what conspiracy is? Hello, Dr. Tina, I lost you briefly.
I think I was muted. Conspiracy is a secret plan by a group like the Nigerian government to do something unlawful or harmful to Nigerians as a whole, but in particular to Biafrans, and they conspire against any group of people that they want. So conspiracy is a secret plot to do evil or to do an unlawful something to another group of individuals.
Absolutely. And as I said, from that very clear, precise and concise definition and description, conspiracy practically connotes complex schemes, structures, underhand maneuvers, carefully crafted to inflict suffering, misery, pain, or whatever to another. And that is the context I look at it, given Nigeria, where the rulers, those who claim to be the owners or landlords and their caretakers, which the Fulanis represent, form adverse opinions and judgments or premonitions about Ndi Igbo, even without facts and figures. And they decide to plot this evil you mentioned against Ndi Igbo. What are the common conspiracies? They're not just theories, because when the word conspiracy comes, people easily rush to the phrase conspiracy theory. Here we are talking about practical things.
Yes.
Things that are related out to us that we know. So could you kindly list or just enumerate some of the common conspiracies held against Biafrans by the Nigerian state actors?
Yes, the Nigerian state actors, the biggest one that have been now made clear to everyone after Showore spoke about a few weeks ago. Completely, there is a document. Now we know there is a document, secret document that they have written down what they want to do with the Igbos, and the number one thing they want to do with the Igbos and Biafrans as a whole is to keep them as far away from the seat of power in Nigeria as possible. That is one major conspiracy. When IPOB members say what we say, people say, oh, they're just coming up with some things, and they're just pulling things out of a hat. No, we're not.
Theory.
Yes. They think we're just making up things and saying them. No. Showore said there exists a document written and signed by some individuals in Nigeria saying things that they must do to keep Biafrans out of reach of the seat of power in Nigeria. So Obi and we saw what they did to Obi so clearly. That illustrates the conspiracy now being brought to action. Because when you conspire, when you make these secret plans, then you have to have a way to put them in policy. That's what that book that Showore was talking about is. They put it in policy. They write it down somewhere and say, this is what we remember. This is what we're going to do. And everybody agrees. Every one of those conspirators, they agree. This is what we're going to do. And then how do they do it? They carry it out some way in their actions. So Obi's failed bid for the presidency this last term is a complete illustration. What it is that you have been conspired against. Now you see what they did to Obi. That's exactly what they conspired about. They made him popular. Even they set people in the northern part of Nigeria to endorse him, to say that he's the most popular person in running for the presidency. They made Igbos sign in and say, yes, if you don't vote for him, that means you don't want him to rule Nigeria. And Obi, in his own way, was playing his own game also. But to illustrate that this is a conspiracy, they put him out there, and at long last, they let him go poof. So that they gave that he deserves to another, to make sure to keep Igbos, Biafrans, far away from the seat of power in Nigeria as possible. We can make all the noise we want. We can speak all the English there are in the dictionary. We can do whatever. We can even do flips like Americans say in the market square. Nobody will have us rule Nigeria unless by some kind of hook or trick or something that Biafrans may try to do. But no, that's why we say what? We are only as good as Nigerians can use us. If they cannot use us, we are no good to them at all. And why are they keeping us together? That's another question, right? Mazi Nice. So let me stop so far because I think Mazi-san might want to jump in.
Yeah, thank you very much, Biafra. Now you know, listeners. As the flavor said, if you know, you know. Now you know. It's all about Igbo phobia, the anti-Igbo sentiments. That's actually why they don't want Biafra. I don't know if any other ethnic nationality were championing Biafra. Maybe it would have received more favorable response. The clamor for referendum, which is not the hardest thing on earth to ask for, would have not fallen on deaf ears as it were. But it's all about Igbophobia. So Dr. Tina will look a little bit about Igbophobia. There's always this allegation against Igbo that they are too domineering, and they want to be in charge of everywhere. If you give them an inch, they want miles and thousands of miles on top of that. They claim that prior to the flag independence, that we dominated the economic sphere, that we are upwardly mobile, and occupied most of the critical top positions in the critical sectors, including civil service, banking, ministries, and even industries. And again, they came up with this January 1966 coup, which was termed Igbo coup, when indeed it was a rainbow coup of all ethnic nationalities of the contraption in the military, the young men in the military gathered, simply because an Igbo person born in the north anywhere, Chukwuma Kadinanzo, who happened to be the one to announce it, and they figured out that sort of higher ranking officer, or again of Igbo extraction, Emmanuel Ifajuna, will probably take over. Whereas it is been made very clear. Is it Major Ademerica in his memoir, in his book he wrote, clearly said that the coup was purely to address political imbalance and to install Chief Obafemi Awolowo as the new head of government of Nigeria in the direction they wanted to go. But lo and behold, it's been termed Igbo coup since 1966, with all the pogroms and the reprisal attacks and genocidal atrocities committed against Igbos based on that. So let's take a look a little bit about Igbophobia. Nigeria seems to thrive on Igbophobia. Is that not also part of the big conspiracy?
That is the grand conspiracy. Nigeria has been functioning on a grand conspiracy, but remember, Nigerians did not make up this conspiracy. They were not the author. They were not they didn't come up with it. This is not their idea. The idea came from the Englishmen. The Englishmen who came and joined everybody together. Out of what? Actually out of racism, out of greed. They put everybody together, and out of quick management, they thought that the world would stay the same as it was in the 1940s and the 1950s and 60s when they were doing all these things. But the world changed. That's what they didn't count on that. The grand conspiracy was with those people who came into Nigeria and formed all these people, put them together and called them Nigeria. There is nothing like Nigeria. But the quota system that they created, the policy, the grand scheme, the grand conspiracy created, a quota system in Nigeria, is to hold the Igbos who are progressive down. For instance, the resource and allocation sharing in Nigeria is another way they keep you down. Let's take whatever comes from your land and give it to everybody in the world and give you as little as possible and see if you survive on that. That is a grand conspiracy. And then the Sharia business that they have started, the Sharia law that they're instituting all over Nigeria. They have plumped it down in 13 states for sure in the northern Nigeria. Now they're going to the west and kind of poking them. Take Sharia law, take Sharia law. And the Yorubas are saying, no, we don't want it. No, not like that. No, not like that. And they're coming to the Igbos, and fools like Uzodinja accepts it and brings them in and says, oh yeah, build a mosque here and build one here and call that person Emir and call that other person Emir. Without thinking about it, there is a grand conspiracy going on. And that's what is that? What are they trying to do? That's really the question. They have put policies in place to carry out this conspiracy. And what are they? They want, like Othman Danfodio told them, they want to be the owners of Nigeria. The space called Nigeria, they have now said to each other and agreed that it belongs to the Fulanis of the world. So whoever is Fulani anywhere in the world, you're called to support the jihad that they are planning so that they can take over their land. And all the people in Nigeria, all the other ethnic groups that make up Nigeria, they're looking at them like people in the water, like they're in a stupor. And that is what is worrisome. That's why we speak on Radio Biafra. That's why we're educating everyone. We're bringing up everybody's consciousness to the fact that from the beginning of Nigeria until now, the grand conspiracy is still playing out. 1999 Constitution, for instance. What is in it? They talked about Sharia. They talked about Muslim. They talked about Allah, how Allah has done this and done that. There is no mention of Christianity or any other religion in that 1999 Constitution. They have brought Ruga. They keep pushing Ruga in different ways to Nigerians, especially those of us in the South. They have Ruganized the North and the Middle Belt. They want to keep pushing until they go all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. These people are like our current president in the United States of America. He tells you what he's going to do, and he does it. They're not lying to you. What is the problem then? What is the problem? Mazi Nice, what is the problem? The problem is that we who call ourselves, that we think we're Nigerians, but there's nobody called Nigerian, you know. But we who think that we're Nigerians, we're sitting there like we have our legs and feet, the bones in our legs and hands and arms and everywhere has been broken by this thing that, you know, Obama said one time. What did Obama say? Obama said that keeping Nigeria one is a task that must be done. That's what he said. And we said, yeah, we like one Nigeria. That's a big nation. But the whole thing is a conspiracy. And it is not made from a black man. Oh, go ahead, Mazi.
Yeah, I think Obama was practically re-echoing the words of Jack Yakubu Gowon, because he said exactly the same thing in 1997. And indeed, that laid the seed of discord, resentment, and bitterness towards Biafrans. Let's take a quick look now at geopolitics, a sort of redefinition of it. Some of the strategies which they did, again, I refer to Jack Yakubu Gowon. In 1967, he boasted in April of that year that if our eternal father, Dim Chukwemeka Odumegwu, declared Biafra, that he was going to create core state, what was known as core state, which is the Cross Rivers and Rivers state, which indeed they created, to create division and dichotomy amongst Biafrans. And that's still going on till today. So I have, in my own little note here, penciled down state creation and boundary adjustment as part of Nigeria's conspiracy against Biafrans, or policy of boundary adjustment and state creation. And it really baffles me how people jubilate over state creation, when indeed all they are doing is balkanizing
every one of us past, divided
among the pigeons, so that your brother will now is no longer your brother. They did that even with Midwest. I grew up in old Asaba school, primary and secondary school in Asaba. And then you begin to see your own brother and sisters of Igbo extraction in the then Midwest states, which is today Delta and part of Edo State. And they don't want to identify with you. Now we see what is playing out even with Ohaneze. An Ikwere person is saying he's not Igbo. I am not Igbo. Identity crisis all over the place. People denying their original ancestry and nationality. And then another conspiracy theory is the fact that they took history away from the school curriculum, particularly secondary school, and replaced it with all manner of nonsense subjects that have no real meaning in the life of young people as they grow up. And then making Biafra, the word Biafra, became an anathema, a forbidden word or name, until the late 1990s. Credit to Masab, where it's due, and then, of course, from the 2012 precisely, when our leader, Nande Kanu, came out, you dare not mention Biafra before then, you'll be shushed down immediately. It's like a capital offense to mention the word Biafra. So these are parts of the conspiracy theories. Let's go down the memory lane further down and check. I don't know, Dr. Tina, if you've done a bit of digging into this as well. Some historical antecedents that gave rise to these conspiracies against Biafrans were such prevalent in pre-colonial era, before the evil white man came, before the very satanic Frederick Lugard and his girlfriend, Flora Shaw, came and caused mayhem and anarchy in the brains of our people. Were these conspiracies prevalent or present?
They were from the get-go. The minute they came and saw the resources of the land and saw what they could buy and make a lot of money, they took back some to their kings and queen, and the queen and the kings endorsed them and said to go back and get more. We need more of these things, and they came back and taking more and taking more. Then they started devising ways to get it even cheaper and to make us give it to them freely. And they tricked us into believing that we're friends. This is the way we can become friends. So they came with deception in the get-go. They never came truthfully to be on equal footing or equal level with us. Never. So the grand conspiracy was hatched in the mind of the white men who came and the white women who came and who sent them. This has been going on. So anything built, a house built on sand, how can it stand? How can it stand that you build a house on sand? You built a house called all the civilizations in Africa. You built them on deception, on lies, on thievery, any kind of bad thing. That's where the conspiracy was conceived. They conceived it in the heart of a white man. And then they came and tricked the COG, like Mazi says. The COG tricked them into believing, oh, if you do this, you get more. If you do that, you get some for yourself. And when you COG a cheerful, all the other people with him and started thinking only about himself. But was the white man thinking about himself only? Never. He was always thinking cooperatively. corporately, because he is taking the bounty he gets from Africa to his people, to make his people richer, to make the queen more popular, to build the house of gold, to build the house of silver, to make their fame more more far-reaching in the world. They built empires on the backs of black men and women who were foolish from the get-go. From the get-go. So, yes, we have great ancestry, but our great ancestry did not see what a white man brought. So they came with deception and lies, and we bought the deception and we bought the lies. I'm not talking only about Biafrans, I'm talking about all the kingdoms and all the kings and queens all over Africa, not just the ones in Biafra land. And that's how they tricked a foolish Fulani man or woman or king or emir or sultan to believe that we'll give you power so that you can rule this group of people, lord it over them so we can give you a little money. Mazi fearless Madabuchi Nwachukwu continues to reiterate on Radio Biafra for Biafrans to understand that the North have ruled Nigeria for over 46 years. But when you go to the North, poverty is still prevalent. We don't have more poor people in the South than we do in the North. Northern Nigeria is really the country of the poor. That's where the poorest people in Nigeria live. But their people have been ruling Nigeria. They have cornered this ruling and this ownership for a long time, and they've been ruling. President after president, whatever, and they have been ruling Nigeria, but still their people are poor. Why? Because the white man sold them a bag of goods that you yourself, the president, we can make you rich. Forget Nigeria and give us everything you get from Nigeria so we can make our nation rich. So who is the fool here? Who has been fooled? Who have been deceived? Deception, conspiracy of the highest order. That is what is holding Nigeria down. So there is nobody called a Nigerian. There are people who are making money off of Nigeria. There are people living well off of Nigeria. But there is nobody that can come out and say boldly that Nigeria is better off the way that the British Empire left us. Never.
No chance at all. Indeed, conspiracies involve collusion, connivance, complicities by a gang, syndicate, or mafia. You're very correct there, Dr. Tina, when you mentioned that they manipulate using the instrumentalities of deception, lies, and other belief systems, the culture of the people, their background, religion, upbringing, and twist it. They come in the form of the curriculum and promise you that is education, that is you being exposed, exposure, experience, and the rest of it. And then they get you to perpetuate all the evil and all the bad, harmful plans and plots which conspiracy clearly defines. We will come to what you mentioned earlier on about what is called the Nigerian factor, federal character, quota system, and all the manipulative policies. We'll come to that shortly. But before we go to that, how is conspiracy different from ethnic biases? Because in Nigeria, there's a lot of ethnic biases.
Yes.
And interwoven with conspiracies as well.
Correct. You are right. Because there is a document, now we know, saying that keep Igbos out of power. Igbos have been known as domineering, and that has permeated every mind in Nigeria. Igbos are complainers. Why are they complaining? Are they the only ones being marginalized? We too are being marginalized. We're not complaining. Why are the Igbos talking? Ethnic bias. engaging in a discriminatory behavior, holding negative attitudes towards or otherwise having less favorable reactions towards people based on who they are ethnically. They have discriminatory behaviors. Everybody, every other group in Nigeria has this negative attitudes, discriminatory behaviors against us Biafrans. You can feel it. Just go on a space, go on X today and go on any space and ask the question, why can't the Igbos just be let go and go to their own nation? Oh, do you know the first attack you will get will be from an Ikwere man who is Igbo but doesn't believe that he's Igbo. The next one will come from an Edo man who says that I'm Bini and I'm more related to Yoruba. And the next one will come from a Yoruba man. The Hausas will not speak. I'm telling you now, because I've been in those spaces. There is such a bias against being a Biafran in that space called Nigeria and beyond, of course. And all this is emanating from the white people who school them in what to do. Actually, they teach them. Now they use the social media to teach them what to do, how to respond to Biafrans. But there is a bias, and they engage in this bias. But Chief Nice, you're just really playing into my hands because you know I'm an educator by profession. This is what I do. But Biafrans, bear with me for 1 second. You know, you make a plan. The plan is a conspiracy. You come together, you say, let's do this. This is what we're going to do against them. Then you write it down in a policy. This is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to do it. And then you go out there, you start making moves like saying things. These are the actions. The ethnic biases are the actions. They come out in what they say, how they look at you, what they do to you, like bringing down Igbo businesses. You know, that's endorsed by the Nigerian government anywhere. If you do it in Port Harcourt, that is Igbo land, hey, you're applauded. If you do it in Lagos, where we have built, they will applaud you from every corner of Nigeria. Even some Igbo men will help them applaud. If you do it in Benin, hey, yes. If you do it in Abuja, yes, we told you those Igbo people. It's the biases that they hold against us. It's the negative attitudes that they have against us that is killing us in Nigeria. It's killing practically because remember they made the plan in their policies. They conspired, they made the plan. And now the way to hash out to make sure that the plan is implemented is through these ethnic biases that they have against us. And they continue to do it consistently. The latest one now is to say IPOB is violent. You know, that's the newest bias. IPOB is violent. We can't support them. Do you know who is applauding them first? I am telling you because I go on space and listen to them. Individuals who, yes, this IPOB of a thing. We like Igbos, but this IPOB of a thing. What are you talking about? What IPOB of a thing is that? Because now they know that IPOB is speaking the truth to all of them. Even their consciences are being pricked. All of them. Even if you're Hausa. Yesterday I heard a thief man, thief man, in the northern part of Nigeria saying, thieves are the 6th or 7th highest or biggest ethnic group in Nigeria. How come we're being sidelined? This is a thief man speaking this. I said, good. Brother, speak louder. Somebody give him a megaphone. Do you not think about yourself and your people also? Am I the only one who is being marginalized in Nigeria? No, I'm not. But you people have been sitting there in stupor, like your legs and your hands will have been broken because you were sold some good like Nigeria. We are Nigeria. That doesn't exist. Onochi, So when you drop it, you find nothing inside your bag as a Nigerian. So they have now started saying, the Hausas have been speaking now. They're saying, yeah, how come these people came to our land, they bastardized everything about us, and now they have taken over our language, and every time they speak, everybody thinks we're Fulani. We're not Fulani, we're Hausa. For goodness sakes, we are the third largest ethnic group in Nigeria. Who is Fulani? Now they're speaking. But thanks to IPOB who brought all these things, because if they didn't bring all these things, if you don't come here and ask questions about conspiracy, how it started, what is ethnic biases, we're not even thinking about it. Igbo men and women may think about it and shut up. But that's it. The rest of us around like we don't even know where we are.
Absolutely. It is indeed a shame, not just a pity, that these are Biafrans whose identities have been whitewashed from their brain based on certain perception, wrong one for that matter, and belief inclinations, prejudices, as you rightly said, preconceived notions towards a particular perspective or group or nationality like Ndebo. Because of their preconceived biases, which are called more of anchoring biases, biases based on inaccurate information or disinformation, they have this hatred for Ndebo even when it affects them adversely. This is just the most confounded problem with the conspiracies in Nigeria against Biafrans, and targeting Ndebo. But it's indeed Biafra, because what they want to suppress is the restoration of Biafra. So Ndebo are targeted primarily to ensure that the restoration of Biafra doesn't get the necessary traction that it ordinarily would. That will bring us to, again, similarities between conspiracies and propaganda in the Nigerian context in particular. Using the federal government's policies or strategies against IPOB as a case study, like you rightly pointed out, government sponsoring blackmail against IPOB and the ESN, using all manner of disinformation, spending huge sum of resources, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars to fight IPOB. Resources that can transform the whole of Biafra land, and nobody will be agitating for any self-determination if we are treated on, fairly at least. But they have, taken it a notch or a step further from conspiracies to have core propaganda targeting Biafrans. So what's the correlationship there?
Nigeria messed up, Mazi. Nigeria messed up. What you just said actually illustrates that Nigeria messed up. If Nigeria just let Biafrans be, go to do whatever you do. Biafrans are very outgoing people. We will come to Abuja and build it up, but we will build up Onitsha as well. We will build up Port Harcourt as well. We will build Lagos. We will build the Katangora, wherever it is in the world. We are building America. Nobody's stopping us here. I have brothers and sisters here who are millionaires and billionaires. They're building America. Because nobody is going to stop you in America. America is a free market enterprise. We do what we do here. Nobody's stopping them. That doesn't stop them from building Nigeria. That would have not stopped Igbo man from building Nigeria. Just let us build our own corner of the world as well. Don't make a mistake of calling us out, like really outwardly discriminating against us. By your propaganda. They have just conspired. They have made their policies against us. They are implementing it by their ethnic biases. But now they speak it loud through a megaphone. Propaganda, they're outside talking about Igbo people, Biafra people. And that's really what clued us in. Thank God for Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, I'm telling you. And thank God for IPOB, who said, yeah, these people, there's something. These people are saying something. Why are we behaving foolishly? And that's really the mistake of Nigeria. Do you see that? If Nigeria were quiet to build the bridge when Mazin Nnamdi Kanu even asked, as late as just 10 years ago, he said, build the second Niger bridge, build hospitals, build good schools, do this and do that, he would have said, yeah, at least we have all these things. Let's go home and build our own whatever we have to build. But we continue to exist in Nigeria because nobody lives in Nigeria. Everybody who is in Nigeria just exists. You have the soul of what makes a man is taken out of every Nigerian. Why? Because you don't have there is something, a gumption, something inside of you pushing you to come out and do the best you can and be the best you can as a human being when you're a Nigerian. If you call me an Igbo woman, I come out fighting like a lion, a lioness. That's who I am, because it touches the core of me. When you say you're Nigerian, nothing happens to me. I don't feel either way. I have no passion. No passion. Nigerians don't have passion. That's why they sit in stupor, being rubbished every day by their government. So, because Mazin Nnamdi Kanu caught that and said, okay, y'all are not even trying to at least pacify us, make us think that you're doing something and making us feel like, okay, you still belong to one Nigeria. We're all together. They're not trying to pacify us. These people are belligerent, belligerently presenting themselves as the bullies. That's what they have done. They are telling, not only Biafrans, so because when we talk like we're Biafrans. I'm speaking as a Biafran woman. But they're doing it to the Yorubas, they're doing it to the Hausas, they're doing it to the thieves, they're doing it to even the Fulanis who are poor. So I'm not saying they're doing it just to me. I'm just a woke one. I'm just the one who became conscious of this injustice, this dulling of my spirit, this killing of my spirit, because I'm a Nigerian. When you call me a Biafran, I am ready to go. When you call me a Nigerian, that doesn't mean a thing to me. Nigeria can go to hell in a handbasket, like we say in America. I don't care. But if you say, then when your name in Onitsha, then when your name in Aba, then when your name in Imo State, then when your name in Olu, then you're talking to me. And I want to know, what is that? How come somebody's killing somebody in Enugu State? How come this man is saying, don't retaliate in Ebonyi State? It makes my blood boil, because I'm an Igbo woman. You have touched the core of me. You killed my brother. You've killed my husband. You killed my sister's son. You killed my nephew. That's why. If you say you're Nigerian and something happens in Daura somewhere, I don't know that person, and that Hama will be jumps and goes on the next train to over there to shoot them. But something happens in his backyard in Ebonyi State, and Obi is totally mute and dumb and deaf about it. Oh, that makes me mad. But Mazi, to go straight to your question, really, Nigeria is not a person's country, any person's country. You cannot answer in Nigeria and be the best you can be, or thrive to be the best you can be. So, I would say to your Tenso Israel, if Nigerians will listen, so that they can become and function like human beings. We thank Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, and we thank IPOB.
Definitely. Before we look at unpack this thing they call Nigerian factor, because even as an undergraduate back then, I keep trying to understand what is exactly Nigerian factor. But let us go to the policies that probably they aggregate and begin to use that phrase Nigerian factor. Beginning from, again, I refer to Jack Yakubu Gowon, because he is the demon that the British used to put us in this dire strait. From 1970, all the economic policies successive Nigerian governments have been churning out are often specifically targeted at Biafrans to keep us down. Let's start from the they call it the decree, 1972 indigenization decree, which is supposed to be an economic policy to empower Nigerians. Clearly, the IPOB Biafrans were alienated, blanked out, and then you go further down to before then, the obnoxious, notorious, and acrimonious bank policy spearheaded by Chief Obafemi Awolowo that gave to every Biafran, regardless of how much they had in the bank before the genocide commenced, only £20. How about the abandoned property, which unofficially is not even, the claim is not documented, but these are plots, these are conspiracies, which till today is free. Do you know that this abandoned property is one of the most poignant reasons why people are scared of Biafra? If you do your survey very well, most Biafrans who do business in the zoo will tell you, oh, we don't want Biafra. Reason? If you get Biafra now, I will lose my property in Abuja, I will lose my property in Kaduna. And it says who? Some of these things have property in America, in Europe. They've not lost it. But because of the fear that the abandoned property put in us, in our sight, they believe that once we get Biafra, everything they have outside of Biafra land, they will lose. So these are very dangerous, not just conspiracy, but hardcore policies put in place. Looking at this, I don't know.
Yeah, but man, who will give you such policy? Who will give you, who will make such policies? The policies were made by people who hate you and want your resources. We cannot be looking at these Fulanis as they're acting, they're so powerful, they're so smart, they're so evil. No, the evil came from somewhere else. I like to give my wood and denze. You know that? Sure. That's what people say. I like to give my wood and denze. When there is so many problems in the community, Indians they have somebody to bring wine, bring goats, bring fowl, bring 20 pounds so that it can be settled. Another person, do the same thing, bring fowl, bring goats, bring wine, bring this. I like to give my wood and denze. Who is benefiting? The Western world. That's who is benefiting. They're trying to keep everybody you know, that's exactly what they're doing with our resources. The oil and gas in your father's backyard, in my mother's garden, that's what they're doing with it. Because China, Russia, that's what it is. And that's what they created in Nigeria. And Nigerians, these factors that the Nigerian factor that you mentioned is just nothing but that. Is that conspiracy? Is that overarching what is holding Nigeria down? Is that evilness that was conspired about and put in place from the get-go when that Nigeria was created? The one is just an instrument, and now he's regretting his life. He's an instrument in those people's hands. 1972 decree to empower Nigerians. Where did that go? 20 pounds to Biafrans. Look at us. Now we're millionaires again. They can stop us. And this is why the people that they knew that. Why did they fight the the people in the middle those people, why did they fight them for so many years? Why did they fight our people for so many years? Why did it take so long? Why did they kill our women in Aba when they were protesting? Why did they do that? Why did they finally sow the seed of Igbos and domineering into every Nigerian to hate us? Why did they do that? And then you talk about our Awolowo's policy of giving us 20 pounds. And then you talk about abandoned, let me talk about that. Abandoned property is a two-edged sword, and it has killed everybody in its path. Abandoned property doesn't only divide and make Nigerians, make Igbo people not want to be Igbo people anymore. Because if you go to Ikwere land, some Port Harcourt people, the people who really live in Port Harcourt, because remember, Ikwere was part of like Imo State, and there are many people divided. There is Ikwere in Imo State and there is Ikwere in the River State. Those people have been the sacrificial lamb. But the people who were in the River State area, who took abandoned properties of my uncles who lived there when the war ended and never gave it back. Remember when our leader said that that's one of the things that Sarah Wiwa said something about, made a comment that they should keep the abandoned property, and that made them separated the Igbos from their own brothers. They wanted to keep Igbo people's property after the war. Something that even people in the Yoruba land did not do. Some of the Yoruba people gave us back our properties. But people in Ichie, in wherever in the River State, Port Harcourt, did not give us back our property. I knew this because one of my uncles, no, one of my husband's uncle used to have a lot of property, but one of my uncles also lived there, had property. But the one that was most known in my circle of people was the one that my husband's uncle left several properties that were taken over by those people who lived in Port Harcourt and refused to give it back to him, any of it back to him. And actually, that's how he died. He came back to the village, just lived his life out in the village and died. And I remember my own uncle saying, no, I'll never go back to Port Harcourt, and never went. So, that's number one division. Do you know another level of division that they have caused is even worse? Not only dividing brothers and brothers, but also the property that now has stigmatized us in our heads. We have it buried in the subconsciousness that if we leave Nigeria, north, south, west, anywhere, that we will never have our properties. That's brain damage almost. They have totally damaged our psyche by doing that. So they didn't only just take property away from us and divide us from our brothers in Port Harcourt and those places, but they have also damaged us psychologically, that we're always afraid. We're walking wounded, always wounded about looking, over our shoulder, seeing, well, whatever I have here is not mine. Somebody's going to take it away from me. That's what they have done to Igbo men, Igbo women, philanthropists, people who thrive in businesses, people who build cities and villages. They have made us afraid to leave things. And that is what they remind us. Every time they burn our property in Lagos, they are reminding us of that. And who is coaching them? They are coaching them all the time how to stay with that psychological damage. So they're psychologically damaging us every time they bring another hotel that an Igbo man spent billions of naira building in Lekki down. That's what they're doing. When they go to a market in Lagos and burn a whole street of Igbo people's maybe clothing business or car parts down, they are trying to make sure to push it back into our psyche. Don't forget, we can do this to you again. We can take away everything you have. So they make us afraid. Only Igbo in Nigeria is always living like, you don't know, you're never sure, you're never settled. So why wouldn't an Igbo man, Igbo woman know that there is no life in Nigeria? You're always sitting on the edge of your seat. You're about to fall off anytime. Anytime. Because they are inflicting that psychological trauma back into your psyche every time, every day. Yeah, in a few days now, you hear another market burned in Lagos. You will hear it, or in Abuja. This is criminal. What Nigeria does to Igbo man is criminality. Nothing short of that.
Evil, deliberate, state-sponsored policies to weaken the Igbo man, the true Biafran. Economic subjugations. They are doing this, and they are matching it up with political marginalization. It's all geared towards the, as rightly pointed out, Dr. Tina, the whims and caprices of the colonial masters and their caretakers that are bent on jihadism, expansionism, which is their only target. All they are trying to do is achieve the mandate or the mission their forebears, Usman Danfodio, Ahmadu Bello, and the rest of them handed over to them, and they are never going back. Let's probably before I invite some of our listeners, if they could join us briefly, because we don't have much time tonight. But let's look at those economic policies you said our leader, Duma Kano, highlighted in the belief, or rather hope, indeed it's the hope that kills you, that Nigeria will reason and address some of them. For example, seaports, cargo airports, or airport generally, the policy of aviation in Nigeria, steeped heavily against Biafrans. Industries, certain industries, including even refineries, getting them to work, all the way down to micro industries like cement industry, for example, the monopoly that goes into it. Dangote business. Last week, Sunday here, we talked about oil and gas, and particularly we talked a little bit about this Dangote refinery and the monopoly that state handed over to him unilaterally. Are these not all geared towards or targeting Biafrans? Chief Ibeto was driven out of business simply because he's a Biafran. Osharis, innocent, should be doing a lot better than what they are already doing. They are doing marvelously well, but they should be doing a lot better, being global conglomerates in where they have excelled. But they are hamstrung because they are Biafrans, they are Igbo. And this is what Onyendu has been pointing out from the word go. This is what IPOB has been championing. That you will not allow us to develop, even at our own natural pace, without your support. Still, you will not lord it over us, crumble our initiative, kill our dreams and aspirations, and bring an inferior one to impose on us. Economic subjugation. I don't know when we will get out of this excruciating economic pains that we suffer as people, as Biafra.
Nice. I know when we can get out of it. When you think deeply, when you really sit down and think deeply, you cry for our people. You cry. If you really sit down and really imagine as a free human being in the United States of America, I can make money. The only thing that will stop me is my imagination and my strength to do it. Biafrans have imagination. Biafrans have strength. They work harder than anyone else I know in the world. So when you really think about our economic situation in Nigeria, you cry. Because to keep Biafrans unsure about their economic future is to keep us in Nigeria. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying. If they don't keep us unsure about our economic future, they think we'll just split. Because if we can go home and build a company and the ship comes and docks in Iguacha or in One or even in Onitsha, and we do our business comfortably and carry on with everything we have to do in the East, build ourselves up, build good roads, 3-lane roads, 4-lane roads that can carry people, move people from Onitsha to Enugu easily in 30 minutes. Move people from Onitsha to Owerri, from Owerri to Aba in less than 30 minutes. From Aba to Iguacha less than 20 minutes. From Iguacha to back to Owerri in less than 20 minutes. If they let us make our business home comfortable, be able to creatively work in our area and develop our area, they know that they will lose. That's the only way Obama can come into Nigeria and say to keep Nigeria one is a task that must be done. And how would they do it? To keep Biafrans unsure about their economic future. They know we are the future of the whole Nigeria economically. We are. Ogi boasts, I have brothers who are doing marvelous in just business. These people are talented, they're gifted in what they do. They're smart in what they do. You can count how many people in your family who are very smart business people. We are the ones who keep in Nigeria economically above board to any level that they are right now. So they know if they move these very creative Biafrans, the rest of Nigeria might not do as well. But that's not true. We will even come to their place because nothing binds us to Biafra land. We will go to Lagos. Nobody says that when we get Biafra, we will leave Lagos altogether. Or we will leave Kano altogether. Or we'll leave Abuja altogether. No! That's where Nigeria is not thinking. The people who are in leadership in Nigeria are not thinking past what their colonial masters are telling them. They should think. Economically, Nigeria benefits. How? No, they don't. From Nigeria. Nigerians don't benefit. The foreign countries who put Nigeria together benefit from Nigeria, and then they give saraka to the people who manage Nigeria. So individually they can benefit, but Nigeria will never benefit from the resources in our land, from the economic smartness of the Igbos, the hard-working and risk-taking of the Igbos. So this is why I say I know what can save us. This is the risk that IPOB has now come to say, we are leading you, Biafrans, to take this risk because we know that we will win at long last. If we wait for them to build the seaports for us, they won't. If we wait for them to build the roads for us, they won't. They will never do it. If we wait for them to build the airports for us, they will never let somebody take off from Iguacha, take off from Enugu, or take off from any part of Biafra land and land in the United States of America. They will never let it happen. We will always stop in Abuja. We will always stop in Kano. We will always stop in Lagos before we come to our land. Because they know that you have the talent. The talent resides in you. Biafrans, IPOB is telling you that we will win. We will win if there is really an alternative. And the alternative is to separate from this evil forest. By taking this risk, a calculated risk, we have calculated this risk. IPOB leadership has calculated the risk of pulling away from Nigeria. We are sure it cannot be worse than it is right now. And anything we do will make things better for us. Anything, even not doing anything, may be worse than doing a little something. So, it is better that we try something. So let IPOB guide us. We will be fine at the end. That's the reassurance we want to give you. Keep going. We will be better. We will thrive at the end. But are you sure that Nigeria will ever let us have One seaport? Let us have Warri seaport? Let us have Port Harcourt seaport or Onitsha Sea, where they can come in all the way into Onitsha to transport world goods into Biafra land. They will never let us do that. That's why they're holding us together. So follow IPOB. This risk that we're taking will make us thrive. That's what we're saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ada Biafra. Biafra is a win-win, not just only for Biafrans, but for other Africans of goodwill, those who really want development and advancement from the current state we are. Dear listeners, you are still listening to the UK Time Out on Radio Biafra, the People's Parliament. Tonight we are discussing the topic, Nigeria's conspiracies and policies targeting Biafrans. And with me in the studios is Dr. Tina Eberechi, IPOB USA, strong woman leader, mobilizer, strategist, I call you, special strategists for the movement globally as well, not just in the United States of America. Dr. Tina, thank you for holding the fort and for your eloquent elucidation of the different sub-themes of this topic that we've been looking at. Our second guest, Engineer Lance Corporal Uzoma Gabriel Morako, a veteran, a Biafran veteran, unfortunately has not been able to join us due to some technical issues and difficulties. But I can assure you that this topic will have a part 2. But in the meantime, while we have a few more minutes to go through, we'll be finishing slightly earlier than normal today. I'd like to invite you on the phone line, just one line tonight, to be part of our discussion. We'd love to get your own perspective, your views about these conspiracies we're talking about on the policies. Whether you agree with us or you're free to disagree, that these evil policies are well-orchestrated conspiracies targeting Biafrans. And Dr. Tina has posited tonight that this even predates the colonial master. As soon as the partitioning of Africa began and they knew the potentials and credentials of our natural endowment in terms of resources, not just mineral, but other resources, these conspiracies were in the mills being manufactured and fabricated, and they dish them out to us like that. The number to call, once again, for those of us who are familiar with our program, you probably know this number now in the flyer. If you are calling from within the United Kingdom, please call direct on 074-481-83132. I'll take that again, 074-481-83132. And if you are calling from outside of the UK, you are better off to ring the same number on WhatsApp. That'll be +44 744 8183 132. +44 7448 183 132. We'll be happy to get your view on this topic or related subjects as well. So, Dr. Tina, we have been able to establish without any fear of contradiction that Nigeria is not a nation but a contraption ruled by tribal sentiments orchestrated in conspiracies and evil plots, mostly targeted towards Biafrans. In fact, almost 100% targeted towards Biafrans. And we are looking at the economic variables or indices now. We mentioned some of the industries where Nigeria has fared woefully just because they refuse to tap into the natural endowment of Biafrans, or rather, they want to suppress Biafra, and therefore, everybody suffers in the long run. As I said last Sunday on this program, we looked at the oil and gas industry, why it has become the source of hatred and marginalization of Biafrans. This conspiracy, again, linking that to the oil and gas, as we just mentioned, I'm sure you know very well that even when the expatriates came, their advice, the policy they put in place, was that the heartland of Biafra, mainly Owerri, Mbise, Umuahia, Axis, is the natural epicenter of oil and gas in the whole of that country called Nigeria. I remember very well that Shell, BP, it was called then, started this camp, or where it's supposed to be its HQ, in Owerri. But again, because of this hatred, this conspiracy, it was moved to Ibuacha, which again is Biafra land, but what did they do? They renamed Ibuacha to Port Harcourt, again part of the conspiracy, where all the Umu Okoro, Umu Omasi in what is now known as River State, all acquired an hour in front of them overnight before people woke up. Yeah. So let's look at this conspiracy in the oil and gas sector, for example, again, and how comatose the oil and gas industry is. Look at the 3 refineries all in Biafra land, non-functional. Again, is another conspiracy. The policy to keep the refineries down is a deliberate evil act and a conspiracy of the Nigerian state. I don't know whether you are, getting my drift, but it does my head in when I think about all this.
Yeah, I do get exactly your drift. But then we give Nigeria too much, what's the word? We give them, we make it sound like they came up with these ideas. They don't come up with these ideas. These ideas were conceived somewhere else and transported to them. They're not the ones. They're not the ones who are coming up with these ideas. The British government comes up with most of these ideas. And so who now comes to Ibuacha, that is now their headquarters, to take the oil? Do they refine it there? No. Who comes to take it? Anybody and everybody in the world. They come and load them in tankers. And they take them to everywhere in the world to refine. But Nigeria. But Biafra land. Actually, when I was home last year in 2024, somebody pointed out to me again a sign that said Shell BP or something headquarters in somewhere outside of Owerri, just outside. And I thought, yeah, that's where they started, but they couldn't accomplish the rest of the divide and conquer.
We have a caller on the line, Chief.
Oh, okay. Dr. Sinan, let's quickly take this caller, please. I hold your thought there.
Go ahead and speak. Good
evening, Marginalized and Dr. Tina. I'm so sorry I got a sore throat, but I couldn't hold myself. I just want to make a contribution towards what the discussion tonight. And the reason for my contribution is to also create awareness and to let people, the youth, to know why we are fighting for Biafra. And I've got 4 areas to mention. The first one was in the 80s, when I finished my school certificate, I got grade 2. And then I applied for JAM, and I got about 320 score. And when I applied, I think I traveled, I applied to one of the universities up north. They said to me, no, you won't be taken. But I realized that somebody who scored 170 from the north had admission. And then I was really traumatized at the age of 18, and I was hoping that yes, with my score, the JAM score, I would be able to get admission to the university. And then it really frustrated me. Then I went to Suka and Lagos, and it was really, really, really tough to get in there with my score. And then I was frustrated. Then that led me to, to lose 1 year planning what to do. And then eventually I traveled to Rome, and then I got admission there in one of the universities in Vatican. And upon graduation, you know what they said? They said there's some of the universities there, you cannot come home and do your youth service. I think the Vatican fought hard. They said, no, you cannot say that because our university is recognized. I think basically they were looking at the statistics of Nigerians who were there, and I did realize that majority of Nigerians who were there were predominantly Igbos. And that's the second point. And the third point was my senior brother went to India to study, and then when he finished his course, he was told that he would not do the youth service. Why? Because the university where he went is not accredited. And when he made his survey, the survey, he realized that most of the students here were from the Igbos. So, and then the third one, or the fourth one that happened to me was a family member was an importer, and then he was really, really frustrated from getting an import license. So basically, I don't want to go too deep. I know if you understand what I'm trying to say. But these are the things that I want my fellow Biafrans to know. This is why we are fighting for Biafra. We are fighting for Biafra so that each and every one of us will have the opportunity when you have the basic education, when you have the skills, so that you can be able to get on with your life. Speaking about the oil and gas use.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mazi. Get well soonest. You made very, very valid, solid points there. Dr. Tina, I will leave you to round up the discussion about the oil and gas in particular, and then you dive into the points raised by Mazi DK on the phone, because that's your specialty. Education. We talked about the quota system and what they call Nigerian fact, particularly in the education sector.
Mazi, I want to thank Mazi DK for calling in. Thank you for asking and actually sharing your experience. This is the experience of the Igbos everywhere. Me, you, your brother, your sister, the man down the road in Nsukka, in Aba, everywhere. That's why we're scattered all over the world. And do you know those people who were directing us to those places and chasing us out of Nigeria? They're still doing it. Now they're doing it to my nephews and my nieces, my little people out there in my friends' children in Biafra land. They're still chasing us out. They're still making us go to those universities that are not accredited somewhere else. They will never see a good thing and give it to an Igbo man. Why are they chasing us from our land? Why are we scattered around the world? But now we're using the scattering around the world to our benefit, for to our advantage. We're scattered around the world now. They can never keep us quiet. In Ojukwu's time, they were able to keep us quiet because we were mostly all in Biafra land. Go ahead, attack the Igbos today, and then we'll tell you how many of us are in the United States of America and have children who know things. Go ahead, do it. You know, that's why they are right, like, around the corner doing this and doing that. And my brother, you are speaking today because you beat all the odds in the world and still became successful. They hate us. They hate us for that. No matter where they chase us, we become successful. And one of what Mazi Chief Nice is saying this evening in your place and this afternoon for me is that that's what we're talking about. Conspiracy. This been long time coming. They've been doing it for many, many, many years. And now our people are nauseous and diminutive, some of us. That's the negative part of this thing that they have been doing to us, the psychological warfare that they have just unleashed on us. Now we talk like we don't know who we are. We say, God will do it for us. Oh, woe is us. Look at us. Look at what they're doing to us. No, great Biafrans. Don't say that woe is you. Do not say, wait for God to come and do it. This is a time of knowledge. This is a time of knowledge. This is where it is best for us. If they let all of us do what they were doing in those days, and imagine the kind of never spoke up and the IPOB never came, we will still be saying, woe is us. We will still be sitting here in a stupor. No. Now we have knowledge. Now we are aware of their psychological warfare that have been devised by their slave masters. Now we're going to use scattering of our people all over the world, our hard work, the awareness that we have gained, our ingenuity to work for us. If we don't tell you this today, our children will continue to wallow in this misery called Nigeria tomorrow. And we refuse to do that. No. I keep telling my Biafran good people here, man is born to die but once, one time. And I came to Radio Biafra one day and I said, if you are not holding something in your hand, ready to defend yourself, you're not a human being. Even in America where we know we're safe. I told you on Radio Biafra yesterday, most of us are packing guns in our purses and on our hips because it's allowed. I know it's not allowed in the contraption, but you must find a way of defense for yourself. And you cannot easily lie down and let them step on you and shoot you in the head like chicken. No, not anymore. So for me not to kind of totally go somewhere else, I am telling you that I know Chief Knight said that necessity is the mother of invention in one of the points that he had put down. Why is this invention not working for us? I want to tell the Chief Knight it's working. It's actually working. If it's not working, we will not produce in Igbo land somebody called Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Because when you're not thinking out of the box, you don't come up with solutions like IPOB. IPOB is now the solution. Yes, we have had some negative effects, but now the knowledge and the awareness that we have gained that made us realize as a people that we have a problem. Remember when you have a problem and you identify the problem, that's the first step to solving it, and it's actually more than 50% of the solution. Do you know that? And I want my people to know this. Now that the problem has been identified, and with this program today, we have actually touched all corners of the problem. The psychological warfare that they have been waging on you for a long time. I have finally spoken about it today. All the conspiracy, according to what Mazi Nice have written today for this program, the conspiracy coming together, making policies to hold you down, to make sure that you don't see the light of day. All of that have been busted because Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came and proclaimed the good news to the kingdom of God on earth, the Igbo nation. So we must hear this gospel, believe it, live it, eat it, and make sure to implement it.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just before we begin to go on the home stretch, this issue about educationally disadvantaged states is a phrase. It's your specialty. It's part of their federal character or quota system, what makes up what they call the Nigerian factor. Who disadvantaged who? When and where?
Like I said, it was cooked up in the mind somewhere around the Thames River where y'all live. That's where it was cooked up there. It wasn't cooked around the Niger or even the Congo, wherever. No. It wasn't in the continent of Africa. This whole thing was cooked up somewhere else, and I knew it was around Buckingham Palace somewhere, wherever you call 22 Downing Street. That's exactly where they cooked some of these things up. And then they started the implementation. And so our people, we in the beginning, in our unawareness and in our good-mindedness and in being liberal people that we are, we accepted it wholeheartedly, maybe hoping that this is a way for civilization. This is a way for us to increase our knowledge and become better people and maybe encompass or learn technology and be part of the civilized world. Maybe that's what our people had in mind. But soon after that, they should have seen the handwriting on the wall that these people don't have our best interest at heart. That they were looking out for themselves, not us at all. And Mazi Chinedu, Jonathan Chinedu, speaks about this. Mazi Chinedu Jonathan speaks about the interest that a nation has surpasses whatever you think may be a reaching out of hand of friendship. To hell with friendship. I must see that Igbo land is bright and beautiful and thriving. To hell with who wants to be my best friend in the world by telling me to bring the oil without giving me anything and everything that is in comparison the same value to my people, to me. We have now studied. I come to Radio Biafra to tell you that we're the most educated people in the world today. Anywhere. Go to anywhere. Come to America and ask how many doctors are Igbo people. When they say they're Nigerian doctors, don't listen to them. They're not Nigerian doctors, they're Igbo doctors. How many Fulanis go to anywhere, to any college anywhere else in the world? Have you ever heard of that? I have never in all my travels met a professor that is a Fulani man. Never. If after you count all the Igbo people, the other ethnic group that you will even count on to see some representation from is the Yoruba nation. They have representation else here in the world. Majority of anybody called Nigeria, anywhere else in the world is an Igbo man, an Igbo woman, Ada Igbo. You will see all this Ada Igbo doing some marvelous stuff in this USA. I have never entered a space where I walk 10 steps without seeing Ada Igbo in power doing some marvelous things. And before we have a few conversations and I kind of know maybe from the way she acts or something, and I'll say something in Igbo just to say it so that I can see her reaction, 90% of the time I'm right. After I say, hey, or something like that, she'll turn and return and say to me, oh, just like that. So we know what they know, Igbo people. Biafran, great Biafrans, we know what they know. And today is our morning. Today is our morning. Hapucha, all these things have a abracadabra, have a merai, and in their goodness that they were born with. That's who we are. accepted something from these people. Now give some kind of reciprocity that will benefit us. But the benefit has not come. Instead, the Fulanis hijacked the reciprocity or the benefit that we could get, and here we are. We're left holding the bag. And the Fulanis, I shouldn't say the Fulanis. Common man in Fulani is poorer than any Igbo man. So I must say the Fulani oligarchy have now stolen the gold inside of the bag that we're holding. That's what I must tell you. The bag we're holding is quite empty. The place rocks in the bag. Oh, you got Sandibo. All the nations contained in that contraption. You are holding a bag with rocks inside. The Fulani oligarchy has taken the gold out. And they're using it to build Dubai. They're using it to build Saudi Arabia. They're using it to build Qatar. They're using it to build wherever. That is their homeland that the Muslims live and that they call home. But I have also observed them in those spaces. Have you ever gone to these Arab countries and observed how Nigerian Fulani men are treated? They're treated like 10th class. I must tell them that they're the most foolish of all of them. I don't know why they don't think that they're DCOG, that you're still a black man when you're dealing with the Arab. I don't know why they're not thinking that. They take all their money, the resources from Biafra land, and they send it to Dubai. They send it to Qatar. They send it to Saudi Arabia. They send it to Iraq. They send it to Iran. But when they go there, with all their money, they're still treated as second-class, third-class citizens. So a black man is still foolish and not thinking of his own people. Instead, he's thinking of religion, sentiments, stupid sentiments. He's thinking of religion. He's thinking about Allah told me and Jesus told me. That is foolishness of a black man. Because you would never be an Arab and you would never be a white man. Build Africa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Tina, for your wonderful contribution tonight. Thank you again for your time. Dear listeners, you can add to the list of conspiracies the thing called Nigeria factor or system is key to the conspiracies. Educationally disadvantaged states or any other education policy in the zoo that they use to target Biafrans, like Azidike who called in said, where you score well above average still, you suffer frustration, you suffer humiliation just because you're a Biafran. And somebody who did not score up to 12% is being propped up to ascend a particular position, whether it be it admission or even employment or promotion, ahead of the more competent, the more qualified, the more intelligent person, is all part of these policies that are conspiracies targeting Biafrans. As I said, this topic is worth having a second part of it. Maybe at some point along the line, Dr. Tina will come back to revisit it, and hopefully Engineer Morocco, who couldn't make it tonight, will be able to join us, and any other person who will probably be available to make it more interesting. We'll be ending tonight's program slightly earlier than we usually do. But before we leave, as I thank Dr. Tina, I also want to thank our anchor, Mazi Chukwuemeka Alozie. Both of you and all our listeners in the United States, I know that today is a special day for you. You are all getting ready for the Super Bowl. So I think I won't want to relieve you Otherwise, this topic will take us on and on and on. And dear listeners, if you are tempted to call in, never mind. Another day you'll be able to call in and we can revisit this topic. But as I said, this topic will come back in full. Before I sign off, I'd like to remind us that next Sunday, our First Lady, Lolo Uchechi Okukano, will be back on this program as she promised. She'll be looking at restorative justice, the consequences of spreading malicious lies and falsehood. This is a very important topic because sometimes we all fall into this trap or are victims of malicious lies and falsehood, even within a movement like IPOB. And we know what our leader has suffered, our First Lady herself has suffered in the hands of wicked liars from pit of hell and those who are agents of spreading of falsehood. But these things do not just exist in the vacuum or they don't occur without consequences. It's important that we know the consequences because you can't escape them when they come. So next Sunday is the date. Do join us then on behalf of the IPOB UK Media and IT team that helped me to put this together. Mazi Chibike CJ Nebokike, Mazi Sam and others who have worked very hard, Mazi DK, Mazi Nonso and one else, Lolo Cindy, to make this Sunday's production a huge success. I say a very big thank you to all of you. And also to the family of my good brother and friend whom I spoke about on this program last Sunday that was fighting for his life after severe stroke. And so sadly and shockingly, he didn't make it. Chief Philip Ndurisi Lene Omeroha, my good brother and friend. May Chukwu Kadama receive your loving soul in his paradise. Broken. We are all inconsolable here, but Chukwu Kadama knows the best. From me, from here, it's a very good night. Have a lovely week ahead. God bless.
Ndewo Mazi.
Ndewo.